make it easy. You'd be surprised. We were like, hey, can you drive 5 hours and meet me at my mom's basement, and then we'll eat lunch with her, and then we'll do the pod, and then we'll cuddle. And I'm like, oh, jeez.
And you say yes to all of them, right?
I used
You're
to,
nice.
yeah. But they take your whole day. So when you're like, oh, come to your place, I'm like, done.
Oh, I thought you meant it's creepy to do the basement podcasts.
Well,
I would say White Van might be more so.
No, Van's great.
Well, welcome back to Kidnapping Comedians in Vans.
Comedy. Good to be in the van.
Welcome, Mark Normand, San Jose, California.
Hell yeah. Beautiful out. 70 degrees, sunny. Can't complain.
And today's International Podcasting Day. And your watch, bro.
Sorry. New watch. Is it International Pod Day?
Yeah, it is.
What's that? What is it? Day for everything. Battered women and gay Jews and...
You have all memorized?
Well, there's like Cat Month and Black Month and Gay Month and there's Ice Cream Day or whatever, and it's all horseshit.
What's your favorite?
Well, some days you get a free Chipotle burrito. There's a day where you get a free Slurpee. So I like those.
You like Chipotle?
I just had it.
That's my go-to.
Really?
So I'm gluten-free. I'm not one of those gluten-free hippies.
Uh-huh.
But like whenever I'm taking the van somewhere, I'll get 2 Chipotles.
Mm-hmm.
I'll eat one in my lap on the road and have the other one in the fridge for when I get there.
You go bowl or wrap?
Bowl.
Me too.
Nice.
You got to go bowl because, again, we don't want the wrap. It's all carbs for no reason.
Yeah. Well, also because I can't eat wheat. So that's the thing too.
I think I might be with you on the gluten. I don't. It doesn't sit well with me, but I can have it, but I don't like it. Like the wheat beer. Oh,
yeah. I don't know. I've celiac.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm not one of those trendy guys.
Mm-hmm.
I have to.
I'm with you. And it's better for you. You don't need that shit.
Sure, yeah.
But bread's in everything. It's pizza, it's donuts, it's muffins, croissants, biscuits, cake, pancake, waffle. It's all bread.
It is. And biggest bummer, I would say, of not being able to have gluten is that I can't have Bodega Cat whiskey.
That has gluten?
Barley is gluten. Unfortunately. We'll talk about your Bodega Cat, but otherwise we'd be drinking it right now. What, you just lost the gluten-free market? Is that what you're...
Oh, I had no idea. I've been drinking gallons of that shit.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Wow.
Has it been not settling in your stomach, or?
Well, it's booze, so you just chalk it up to poison,
yeah.
You know? But it's a hell of a rye. Get on it, folks. It's very good. Makes a hell of a old-fashioned.
Well, again, I appreciate you coming on the Creepy White Van podcast. No, Nick's Vancast.
Thank you. I wouldn't have come if it was a creepy black van, but the white van I'm okay with. No, I'm joking.
I was listening to you with Tom Segura on Two Bears, and guys will ask you to like, hey, come grab a drink before. I'm like, oh no, I'm one of those guys.
Well, this is a pod. This is a little different. It's entertainment, and it's like an hour. I give you an allotted time. These guys are like, hey, why don't you come over? I'll show you my voodoo doll collection, and I can show you my dead dog and all this. And you're like, wait, why would I want to do that?
Well, that's what the bed is here for, actually.
Oh.
You're sleeping here.
Boy, that's a firm mat you got there.
It's memory foam. Could you do this? Like we said, Alec Parents lives in his van.
Yep.
Could you do that, you think, as a comedian, traveling around?
I could do it a little bit, but the driving would annoy me. Like, he'll drive from Dallas to Utah for a gig, and I'm like, that part's like, the van doesn't bother me. Also, he gets laid a ton because women are like, it's a bucket list thing. And he is pissing in a bucket, which is ironic.
Yeah, you see that bucket? Oh, we won't.
Yeah, you got one, too. You got to have a bucket. Is that full of fecal matter?
No, it's empty. It's an encase. Like I said, I only live 10 minutes from here.
Right. But this is good. You got a lady, you get no fight, you can come in here and regroup.
Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily sleep in at downtown San Jose.
Oh.
You say you like San Jose, or, just for the crowd, you like San Jose.
San Jose, the club's great, the crowds are fun, the weather's amazing, but it feels kind of dead here.
Yeah, it's dead, but when you find action, it's danger.
Uh-huh.
I went to school at San Jose State. So
okay.
Like 5-minute walk from the Improv.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one night when we just wanted to walk around. We were going to go to Yogurtland. And we walk literally across the street from campus. And in front of Pizza My Heart, they got a guy on the ground. They're beating him up with chairs. I'm like, well, we're not going out tonight.
Whoa. Did you get any context?
Nope. No. And it was so interesting because that time... like 10 undercover cars rolled up like immediately. They got one guy in cuffs, and then like 10 minutes later they let him go. I'm like, Maybe he was undercover too. I don't know.
Whoa, beating with chairs. When you bring a weapon in, that's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of fist fight videos, and it's just fascinating to me that people actually do this. Like, I get if you fist fight to, like, save your life or get out of trouble, but, like, people are just like, fuck you. What are you looking at me like that? Oh, you got a problem? And they just fist fight? To me, that's insanity.
Well, it's an ego thing, right?
Yeah.
They just get offended.
Yeah, you step on a guy's shoe, and he's like, let's go, motherfucker. And they just go at it right there. And you're like, man, that's a hell of a day.
I had a really bad head injury like 7 years ago jumping into a river. And I'm like, my head is so fragile now. I got to avoid all confrontation at all costs.
Right.
One punch, maybe I'm out.
What happened in the river?
I just jumped in, feet first, back of my head, hit a rock that was like that shallow. You
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
could see my skull at the time.
Wow.
It was a brain bleed. So they sent me home. They're like, it was a deep cut. And then overnight, I guess the secondary guy who looked at it, like, noticed the bleed on the brain. They called me in the morning, and they're like, hey, you need to call 911 because you have brain bleed. I was like, am I about to die right now?
Yeah.
So.
Wow, brain bleed. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Do you feel different after the head injury? Because, you always hear, like, Sam Kinison got into a crazy car accident, then became a comedian. Roseanne got into a crazy head injury, became a comedian. Jeffrey Dahmer, they said he had some kind of thing where they dropped him, and after that, he got weird.
Yeah. Well, I downtown San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the time of the head injury, I was a woman, and so, no, I'm kidding. But I think I had like post-concussive symptoms for like 2 or 3 years where
Wow.
I didn't feel like different. You wouldn't know talking to me. Motor functions, all fine, but I felt like kind of foggy, a little bit of like tunnel vision. But as far as I know, I'm the same.
Well, you do seem a little retarded. No. But there's all these crazy stories of a guy got struck by lightning and he went blind, and then 10 years later he got struck again and he could see.
Oh.
Give that a goog. There's some crazy lightning stories out there that are fun.
Is it lightning related, or like just if I bump my head within those 3 years, I'm good again?
Yeah, maybe you hit it again and you go back to being a lady. So who knows?
Did you ever have a bad head injury? Or are you just always naturally funny, Mark Norman?
No, I've fucked my body up pretty good. I remember when I was just learning to skateboard, I went to the skate park and I didn't know how to drop in, but there was so much peer pressure. There's all these older guys around. You want to look cool. You want to look like you know what you're doing. And I dropped in on probably like an 8-foot ramp and just whoop, and then fell on my head, got knocked out, woke up, hours later to a bunch of guys like fanning me and blowing me. And then when I was in grade school, I ran down a slide after it rained, and I slipped, and I hit the back of my head on the slide, knocked out, woke up in the hospital. I remember I was chasing a friend in a pool, and I jumped to catch him, and my chin hit the side of the pool, like the coping, and I got knocked out, had to get stitches. So, yeah, all kinds of head injuries.
I feel like is it a guy thing? Because I feel like it's always guy things.
Definitely.
Head injury, concussions over and over and over. It can't be good.
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is this, like, 20 years later, 30 years later, am I going to, like, have dementia?
Possibly.
That's what I'm worried about.
That's why you got to live now, damn it. Because also dementia seems kind of nice. You just think you're in a jungle or you're in a waterfall, but you're on the recliner. That seems pretty good.
It's like 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
Not so bad.
Every day's new.
Speaking of skateboarding, you're a pro.
No.
Come on, Tony Hawk said so.
Well,
what was the deal?
Pro means I get paid to do it, right? So I'm literally not a pro, but I was pretty good at my day. I have some videos. A lot of them got ruined in Katrina because they were VHS. But we were pretty good. I mean, we skated every day for years. It was our whole life. We'd skate from like 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and just out there on the streets of New Orleans, we'd like drink out of a faucet and then go back out and have no money, and it was fun.
So how did you get on Tony Hawk's radar? He said you're a great skateboarder.
It's a crazy thing. The fact that I've met Tony Hawk I've met Tony Hawk, Seinfeld, these all like childhood heroes of mine. And I did a video. Some kid hit me up because, hey, I'm a fan of your comedy. I heard you used to skate. I run a skate magazine. Do you want to make a little video? And I said, all right, you twink, whatever. And I go out there. We do this video. It was super fun. It's called Jankum. And it kind of got around. And then people started cutting it up and making little TikToks and whatnot. And I guess he caught wind of it.
That's pretty good then.
Pretty crazy.
I mean, you're not just an average skater then.
Wow. I mean, I think he likes comedy too. I just he had a million comedy questions. What do you think of the Chris Rock Will Smith thing? What do you think of cancel stuff? So
Yeah.
it was fucking wild. And he's a great guy. And I show up to his house in whatever the hell, California.
Yeah.
And he's skateboarding when I show up. And I'm like, oh my God, he's here. And he's dropping in on the giant ramp. And he gets off the ramp and he picks up his skateboard. He goes, let's go to the microphones. He sounds like an old printer. He's like, he's all crooked and twisted because he's just so jacked up. He's like, he's got to be 55 years old. And he's all, cracked out because of the injuries over the years.
Yeah, I feel like I've been a runner for like the last 12 years, and I feel like an old man now. I can't imagine after all the breaks and stuff that he's had.
Yeah.
Wild injuries and stuff.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, they say running is actually really bad for the joints.
Yeah, my knees are so bad right now.
My knees are pretty bad too with the skateboarding. If I sit down for too long, the pain. That's why I hate driving, because I'm like, I have to stretch out the leg while driving. 90
degrees hurts, so I gotta stand up while I'm driving, it hurts.
Yeah, they say swimming is the move. But then you got to get a pool, you got to not pee in it. It's tough.
Who said that?
I heard once in 1984 that they put chemicals in the water that change your color if you pee, and
people know.
I think it's a myth, but it got in my head.
So now it's just in the bed, not in the pool.
Yes, bedwetting child builds character. I could use a washing machine when I was like 6.
Oh, I mean that's one upside, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
I talked with another skateboarder. Do you know Mitchy Brusco?
Mm-mm.
He's the
Great
first 1260.
What?
Yeah, when he was pretty young.
Wow.
Isn't that long? Well, I mean he's 25 now, but he moved.
1260.
Yeah, I'll have to show you before you go. But he moved to wherever I did the interview, Oceanside, down in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
So he skates on Tony Hawk's private ramp all the time.
Whoa.
We just did a podcast with him, but super talented kid. He was just in the X Games, 12 years skating, 12
What?
medals. It's crazy.
How do I not know this kid? That's
Yeah,
first of all, it's a great name. I know Nija and Chris Jocelyn and all these guys. Shane O'Neill and Luan Oliveira.
Oh, that sounds
something like that. But yeah, there's some amazing kids now. Kelvin, these guys are all incredible. But I don't know Brusco.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. I'll show you. But I always loved skateboarding growing up too. But to this day, never landed a kickflip.
What?
Yeah.
I could give me 1 hour. I could teach you to kickflip.
I would love that. I don't have I have scooters under the bed.
No, that's for the gays. But yeah, I could teach you to kickflip and give me an hour. It's not hard.
Yeah.
You can ollie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got it. We got it.
So New Orleans,
yes.
Skating. Is that also where your comedy journey began?
Sure. Well, it's all I knew is New Orleans, and it's kind of pre-internet. So I just went to the phone book, looked up open mics, found an open mic in Lafayette, Louisiana, drove the 2 hours from Baton Rouge where I was living. I was at LSU University of Louisiana. Drove to Lafayette. I also wanted no one to see me that I knew. So we drove to another town, being 3 guys. We're getting hammered the whole way there. Show up, bomb, horrible set, ran the light, didn't know anything, but I loved it. And I was like, this is interesting. And I liked there's a group, a group of guys who are also weirdo, misfit, psychos. And I got to know all them, and then I was hooked. And then after that, I'm circling newspapers, circling phone book, finding comedy clubs, comedy shows. And I was hooked, moved back to New Orleans, started doing it there, went to film school in New York. So now I'm in New York doing open mics, totally neglected the film school, moved back to New Orleans after film school ended, started doing it again, moved right back to New York.
And then the scene in New York was probably pretty hot at the time, too.
It was insane. It was right in the alt scene. I don't know if you know about alt comedy. It was
maybe
Janine Garofalo, Zach Galifianakis, Stella, Mark Maron. It was this weird Dimitri Martin. It was kind of this smarter, a lot of comedy clubs look at this homo in the front, and there's a lot of that kind of aggressive, offensive humor, whereas this was more cerebral and thoughtful. A lot of Louis C.K.'s old stuff was very alty, I'd say. And that was huge, that alt comedy scene, Flight of the Conchords, Kristen Schaal, all that stuff. And that was popping. So it was great for me because I was intimidated by the clubs. These people paid money. These are like working adults. I'm a 22-year-old drunk idiot. So I like going to a bar show because I felt like, hey, I'm not good at this, so I don't want people to pay.
Okay.
So it actually worked out, and then that scene kind of fizzled out, and then became this, and it becomes that. Comedy's very fashion-oriented. It's like, what style are we in now? It's kind of like music. Like you have grunge, then you have poppy, then you have rap. It's very, it goes with the flow. It goes with the times.
Everybody is still so unique, I feel like, though, because there's a lot of comedians who are like more story-driven shows, and
sure.
some are like just, I don't know, it's different. Like Jesselnick, for example.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
there's
all
not
jokes.
a lot of long, drawn-out stories. It's different. So
yeah, you pick your style. I mean, jokes are hard to write. I mean, look, Nick Cannon has more children than he has punchlines because jokes are hard to write. So I think stories are better for people because they have this. All you need time as a comedian. You're like, I need a new 10, I need a new 20, I need a new hour. We talk about everything in time allotments, and so I think a story can give you a good 8 minutes, and you know where it's going to go, you know how it ends, you can just punch up the middle of it. So I'm not knocking stories, but I think it's a smart way to build a full hour quicker.
okay.
But I like the jokes, and I'm a coward. I can't do the story. I'm too paranoid they don't care because I don't care. So why would they care?
Last night, seeing you at the Improv, it's just nonstop laughter. Your show is incredible.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Well, the problem is that it takes forever to construct because it's just so many jokes in a row, and maybe they're in the wrong order. Then you got to figure out where they go, and this joke leads to that joke, and transitioning and all that. So thank you.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because it's like if you are someone who does long stories and it's maybe you have, I don't know, 10. I'm not a comedian. I'm just pulling that number out. But with what you do, it's like you must have just a list, just miles long in your head.
I do, yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, it just comes from doing it over. I'm on the road every weekend. I did 2 hours of comedy last night. So it's just constant reps, 10,000 hours, trying to be an expert, trying to get it down. And the scary thing is I will eventually film this hour and have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
But I just, one day at a time, like an alcoholic.
Well, I do film, though. So, like, I know when I come out with a video or something, it's like I am back to square one, too. It's kind of similar. So when I hear people say it's like, oh, a new hour, I'm like, yeah, that stinks. Like, you put so much effort into something.
Yeah.
And now it's out and back to square one.
But it's all about rolling that ball up the hill. You just got to keep going.
Yes. Progress.
It is daunting. But see, the film and the comedy thing is tough because we have to create something that's not there.
Yeah.
Like a house, if you're like, we got to build a fucking house, it's going to be annoying. You have plans, you go buy the materials, and you start building. With us, we need an idea, you need a premise, you need a movie plot, you need a script. You just have to make all that out of thin air. That's the hard part.
It seems impossible.
Yeah.
And then it happens, though.
It does happen. But sometimes you got to force it. Sometimes you got to wait for it. Sometimes you try one thing and it just totally sucks and you have to start over.
Yeah.
But that's part of being a creative, I guess.
Before you went to New York, though, like, I'm sure the comedy scene in Louisiana was obviously maybe smaller, different.
Oh, yeah.
But you got into comedy then. Was there somebody that you were watching or a certain movie that got you interested in wanting to do stand-up at all?
I always loved comedy, but again, low self-esteem. So you'd think like, oh, that's like Steve Martin or Bill Cosby or Seinfeld. I could never do that. Who the hell am I? It's just like being an astronaut or a president. But then you just kind of start breaking it down. You're like, well, they're just a guy. They just went on stage. I could just sign up for an open mic. That's not really making it, but it's a start. And then you just go from there and, one foot in front of the other. My friend had a nice thing to say. He said, You went to New York. It's like you beat the video game on difficult. You just went with no money, no prospects, no hope, and just became a comedian. And it took 12 years, but what else am I doing?
Is it like an actor going to New York or LA or something where it's like network and figure it out?
Yeah. Everybody's so rudderless now, and all these kids are like, I don't know what I want to do, and what am I going to be when I grow up? But I think if you have nothing going on, it actually kind of helps you. I had zero to fall back on, so there was no plan B.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to New York. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'll just keep going. I'll just keep trying it.
That's true. Maybe people who like want to get into comedy and they're like, trust fund, kid. It's like,
right.
You don't really have to grind. Because
yes.
you don't have a boss telling you what to do. You got money to fall back on.
Yeah, you almost need your back against the cliff the whole time to keep going because it's such a retarded goal, comedy.
Was there an end goal, though? Because in comedy, you just keep going and going.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Define success for you?
To me, it's just not having a day job.
Yeah.
I was a janitor. I moved furniture. I worked on construction sites. I worked in an office. I did all the horseshit jobs, temp. And I was like, man, if I can just not do this and live off comedy, even if I was broke, at least you're living off comedy without a day job, and that was the goal. But then, of course, that happens, and you go, what's next? What's next? It's almost like a lady who's like, we got to go steady. Now we got to move in. Now we got to get married. And then you're like, all right, I did everything. Jeez, can she get off my back? Then she's like, now we got to have a kid. And you're like, never ends. So that's kind of how comedy is.
Right now I'm in that day job game because, like I said, I'm a filmmaker, but I do video photo marketing for the hospitals of Santa Clara County. So in this area, there's like 3 hospitals and 13 clinics, and I do all the photo video stuff. I'm the one guy. It's like ridiculous.
Damn.
But that being said, it's like I want to take the van out to nature or something and take the drone out and shoot videos and stuff like that. But that's like what I'm tied to because Nick's Vancast isn't, supporting my life,
I know. How old are you?
29.
Oh, dude, you're going to be just fine. Just the work you put into this, just the quality of van. Like, this place is great.
Thank you.
This is a good-looking van. This is all nice. Just the little things, the devil's in the details. Just the fact that you've done this, I know you're going to be fine.
Well,
you're going to be really well off. You're going to be doing great. You're going to be quitting this day job before you know it. You're going to be good. You're creative. You're going for it. You're a go-getter. You're ambitious. You're going to be fine.
Well, thank you. That's all I needed you here for, just to build me up.
Yeah, you got fucking water and a cooler here. I've done podcasts where they don't even have a cooler, let alone water.
Yeah, I want to make you feel at home here in the van.
Well, I don't know about that. But I'm telling you, man, you're going to be just fine.
Oh,
but I get it that it's scary and you're like, because there's no foresight. Like, how could this go? How's it going to go? What's going to happen? It's all up in the air. But if you just do the part you can control, you're going to be good.
Well, I appreciate
doing
that. But I feel almost like an imposter in a way because I started listening to podcasts like yours. I want to ask you about those. But listening to like comedians' podcasts and things, I was a filmmaker interviewing people off camera. And I loved it. So I'm like, well, this is a creative thing to do when I'm not working.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm doing it backwards. I'm not a comedian, then have a podcast. I'm starting with 0 followers, trying to do it through podcasting. I'm doing it backwards. So,
right.
And then also having the corporate day job where it's like, I'm not working that muscle of being able to be, let loose and be funny because you're very 9-to-5 strict. Don't say that, all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Starting at a disadvantage in a way, but...
Right. Well, feel free to bleep out the R words I dropped. But I get that. But you got to start somewhere. The fact that you got me on, you had Jared Freed on, that's all good. You're only at number 24 episode. So I've been doing Tuesdays with Stories 10 years, and it's just now getting going. So everybody wants this overnight thing. They want it both ways. They want the cushy gig, like no day job. I want to live off my pod. I want to have drone footage. I want to have a vlog. But they don't want to. They want it to happen immediately. Yeah. So you can't have both. So the reason this is hard to attain and special is because it takes so much work and so much time. Mm-hmm. So that's all part of it. So it's going to take a while. Mm-hmm. Know that going in. But again, the ambition is good anyway.
I think it's less for me, like I feel the need to make it everything and get, like, I want to quit the day job eventually, of course, and follow the film thing, but I know that I'm not going to be the biggest podcast in the world, and I don't want to try to be. Of course, that'd be fun or whatever.
Sure.
But it's really, like, I like networking. I like creating a thing. It's like making another video in a way. I have to cut all of the cameras together.
Yeah.
I don't got the Jamie over there switching the cameras.
Right.
It's all manual, but it's fun at the end of it. You created something.
Exactly. You created something that wasn't there before, and people will find you, and you're a nice guy. They'll like you. The head injury. Yeah, you're good.
You with podcasting, though. So comedy came first, of course, right? Mm-hmm. You have a ton of podcasts, Tuesdays with Stories. We Might Be Drunk. They're great. You got the Patreon.
Oh, yeah, all over the road.
what is your favorite thing about podcasting? It's such a dynamic medium of art.
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I'm obsessed with it. I listen to like 5 a day. I just like a good conversation, and I think now more than ever, everything is so watered down. It's like you said about the day job. You don't want to say anything over the line. You go on Fallon. He's got you playing beer pong with ScarJo or Little John, and you're like, what is this? I always grew up listening to Charlie Rose and Larry King, and I was like, this is awesome. Dick Cavett, because you just want to know about Bon Jovi or Martin Scorsese or something. So the podcast is just that all day long, and I can still walk around. I can still go to the gym. I can still go eat and listen to these guys talk. These are brilliant. Scorsese talking. You're like, I'll listen to that for 10 years. Quentin Tarantino, incredible. So I love podcasts for that reason, and it's just like honest ideas coming out. I love ideas, and I love smart people talking about how they made it and their origin. Also, I'm a writer. I write jokes, but I still want to be a funny guy. And on podcasts, you can just be funny in the moment. You can say jokes that you would never say in your act. So that is kind of a cool thing about pods, where you get to be funny in a different medium. It's like a stripper goes up and dances, but maybe she's good at phone sex. So if you just go, hey, look how sexy she looks, she's like, wait, I'm sexy here too with my voice. And I think that's what's cool about pods. Like on stage, I'm a stripper, but here I get to be sexy or funny in another way. So that's good. You wouldn't have that without pods.
Yeah. Well, keep your clothes on here for just right now.
All right.
But
you got it.
You're very funny. You can say the R word. Don't worry, Mark Horman. But
I don't want to get you fired.
I was going to say, no one's listening to this anyway.
That's how they get you, though, 10 years later.
That's true. Do you ever worry about that?
Of course. I mean, we all do. It's so funny how people are like, cancel culture is not real. And you're like, well, not if you call it cancel culture, but there's still public shaming, character assassination, ruining someone's life, hurting their feelings, attacking them publicly. So everybody goes, hey, canceled. They're still working. They're not canceled. I know you're looking at it too literally. The person's ruined. They've got a stink on them, a scarlet letter for the rest of their life. So I do worry about it, but I think if you're just kind of a good guy, you try to be nice, people know you're coming from a good place. I mean, I'm on stage doing 12 minutes on Mexicans, and Mexican guys are like, yeah, this is great. And I think if you can see that come through, maybe you're all right, but it's just kind of a bummer how human nature, we just love to take people down, and the internet is like really almost built for it. You can spread these ideas about people, and we like when people are shitty, so then we can be the hero. That's the irony, is like everybody thinks I'm a hero. Look at me, I'm the good guy. Like, you're not the good guy. You're doing this for you. You think you're some kind of hero because this guy made a gay joke in 1991, and you're like, hey, he's a homophobe. And you're like, well, he's not a homophobe. He just made a joke, but you get to call him a homophobe, so you feel better. So that's really what bums me out about it. But that's been there since the dawn of time.
I watched this video the other day, and it's this guy who puts on this like really traditional Asian outfit with the pointy hat and stuff, and he goes around some urban area, and he's like, do you like my outfit? And all these guys.
I've seen this.
Yes.
That's
brilliant. Offensive. And then the Asian ladies are like, very cute.
Very nice. You look great.
Yeah, it's like that.
That's a great video.
The people who they think care don't care.
Exactly. And I don't think they care. They just think they're supposed to care, and they think this is what I'm supposed to say, and people are watching this, so I want them to perceive me in this way, yada, yada, yada.
So let's say somebody pulls out a tweet from 10 years ago. 10 years from now, do you think culture is in a place where that's all done, or is it going to be twice as bad?
I think it's going to be there still, but I think it will be not twice as bad. I think people will be hip to realizing what's going on a little more. Because in the beginning, you're just like, oh, this guy's a racist? Okay. And then now you're like, oh, wait, some guy sat there and spliced 10 minutes of Rogan saying the N-word together. This guy's got some problems. Like this guy might be worse than the N-word guy. And so I think we're getting to that point where it's obvious it's a hit piece. And then it's sad that we're using these important movements to for our own personal gain. People are like, hey, the Me Too movement, that's great for taking down Cosby and Harvey and all these guys. Great, good. Women need this shit because they've been fucked so long. But they're also like, oh, we don't like this politician. Well, let's drum up a little of this with some lady. So, like, how sick is that you're using a movement for your own shit instead of what the movement was for originally? And we do that with racism. We do that with bigotry and all this shit.
There was a guy who said it cheapens what, like, true racism is. You talk about somebody who really has a problem with Hispanics. Racism. You doing 10 minutes of jokes about Mexicans. You don't hate Mexicans.
Of course.
Yeah, it's like it cheapens what it really is.
Exactly.
And then you don't know what you're even doing at that point.
Yeah, so not only is it cheapening, but it's like selfish and gross to use it for your own shit.
Yeah.
You know, like Rogan has black people on his podcast all the time. He just had a guy on today who's, I think, from Iran. So you're like, I thought he was racist. Aren't we going to go back and go, hey, sorry? You know, he has Brian Simpson open. He works with Chappelle a lot. He has Ian Edwards, all these black guys, Miss Pat, whatever. But you're like, wow, I thought he was racist. So what now? They never go back and go, shit, I guess not. You know, they just pick the one they pick the worst one. So they can, like you see the Bill Burr, I've talked about this all the time, but the Bill Burr thing where he mispronounced the guy's name on the Grammys, a Hispanic guy.
Oh.
And all these people are like, he's a racist, fucking white racist man, piece of shit. And one guy goes, you know, his wife's black and his kids are black. And they were like, whatever. And you're like, what do you mean, whatever? How about shit? My bad. I called you this horrible thing. And now I was proven wrong because they want him to be racist. But you'd think if you actually hated racism, you'd be like, oh, good to know. All right, he's not racist. You just want the win more than justice.
That's a great point.
I have a point.
He's got a point, everybody. So when was it for you with comedy? Oh, actually, I was going to say, I saw you very briefly. I wanted to see your full set. We were at the Greek Theater on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, nice.
Super long line, so we didn't get to see your full set, but we got in at least to see you say comedy at the end.
All right. That's all you need. Comedy.
Wait, when did you start saying that?
Well, I used to bomb so often, and my material's like a little spicy. So I would be like, comedy, folks. I'm doing comedy. Like, this is a Holocaust joke. I don't support the Holocaust. Or, you know, I'd say something like, well, the Holocaust isn't real. And they'd be like, oh, my God. I'm like, I'm joking, you
Would
fucking
he really
idiot.
say that?
Yeah, like, are you really are you stupid or are you out of touch? Like, what are we doing here? So I'd be like, comedy. And then eventually turn to like, comedy. And then it just stuck.
It reminds me of Dusty Slay. We're having a good
time. Having a good time. You got to remind the people, you know? We're doing comedy, folks. Yeah. Relax.
It's saying funny things, or things that'll get a reaction from people, and it worked.
Well, Andrew Schultz has that great point where he's like, comics keep being put on these panels with like philosophers and politicians and all these scientists, and he's like, why are we doing? We're muddying the water here with these two worlds. Like, this scientist is supposed to say the correct fact. I'm supposed to say the wrong thing. That's my whole job. So stop looking to us to say the right thing. And then when we say the wrong thing, you yell at us. And you're like, no, that's my job. You know, why'd the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. That's a fucking stupid joke. But, hey, there's no chicken. No chicken involved. Easy, PETA. And it's anti-cop to get to the other side. It's like I'm saying the dumbest thing that gets a laugh. Yeah. That's the point of comedy. It's not to say he was crossing the road because chickens need to go forward, and that's where the scientist comes in. We say the dumb shit. So when a guy says something bigoted or offensive, it's to elicit laughter. It's so funny that people are like, wait a minute, you think gays are less worthy of life than straight people? And you're like, no, but not. That's the stupidest thing to say. So I said it because it got a laugh.
You're not going to be up on stage saying scientific facts. That's not funny.
Right. Exactly.
Make a joke.
Yeah. So it's either people who don't understand comedy or people who are like looking for some way to get you.
Yeah.
That's all I can wrap my head around.
Well, it's been a good run on Nick's Vancast. We're getting canceled today. So let's go out with a bang.
Yeah, there you go.
So do you write through podcasting too, just by talking, or is it really through like experiences, you would say?
It's more experiences and more just my fucked up brain. I'm in the shower going, hey, what's up with bestiality? What's going on there? I got this whole bestiality thing I'm working on right now, but I just am so confused about so many things. And now, especially with like the media and politicians saying one thing, but you're like, well, that's not true. That can't be real. And it's funny because human beings will say one thing, but they react to something else. And that's a really big comedy. Here's an example. People go like, I don't see color. I have an old joke where I go, well, I'm black. And they go, no, you're not. And I'm like, aha. And it's like an easy, simple joke, but people totally accept saying, I don't see color. And so if you spin it on them, then they reveal to you they're full of shit. And that's one great thing about comedy. I used to have a joke about Caitlyn Jenner. When she first transitioned, all these women were like trying to show how supportive they were. And they're like, Caitlyn Jenner's so beautiful. She's beautiful. And I'm like, well, you kind of look like her. And they would go, fuck you. And so you're like, oh, so you're full of shit. And that's what's great about comedy. You get to kind of tell the truth. I think that's why it's so popular right now.
That's a great point. Do you see, like with podcasting, more people are starting to try to do stand-up too?
Oh, yeah, which I don't love because, well, stand-up's getting cool. Like, we're totally in a boom right now.
Yeah.
And stand-up used to be this niche, underground, fucked up, outskirts of show business, weird thing. And now it's like mainstream and popular. So everybody's like, should I be a veterinarian or a comedian? And you're like, no. Comedians are people who need this, not who want this. You can want it, but you got to need it. And it's fucking it up.
I mean, it shows how much that you're killing the game, right? Because with so many people, here you are getting bigger and bigger, though, too, right? So
well, I
your
think
skills are strong.
I appreciate it, but I think if you do the work and you keep writing and you deliver, you get laughs, I think you'll be fine. Anybody getting laughs will be fine eventually.
Yeah.
There's some guy killing out there right now who's like, fuck, or gal, who's like, fuck, I can't make it. When's everybody going to recognize? But there's really no more excuses because I've had this same conversation with 8 of my friends. We're like, what the fuck? The industry, they hate us. They don't like us. They won't give us a fucking crumb. And then we just put it all online, put a special on YouTube, did a bunch of podcasts, did a bunch of Instagram clips and TikTok and all that. And now they're coming towards us. So it's a bittersweet time where you can get, chewed out on the internet, but you can also use it to get eyeballs. So you can make it, folks.
Well, I was thinking I'm somebody who sees somebody do something, like if it's like rock climbing or running or whatever. That's how I got into running. I saw people running. I'm like, I could try that. So I'm like, comedy is one of those things where it's like, I would love to try like an open mic. But now it sounds like I don't want to oversaturate the market here.
No, I don't mean to sway you. Try the mic, do the mic, have fun, but
to say I did it.
Yeah, and you could have it's a fun hobby. I know plenty of people who like doing comedy as a hobby. They have a fun idea, they write a joke for it, and they want to go say it out loud. But they're still a doctor, they're still a lawyer, like if you want to go all in, you got to go all in.
Yeah. And
a lot of people are like, oh, I have a joke on TikTok that's working. And I'm like, all right, well, now write another joke. And they're like, that part sucks. I'm like, but that's the gig. They don't want to do the hard part. They want the dopamine from all the views and the clicks and the love, but you got to keep doing it. You got to have an hour. You got to do the road. You got to travel. You got to make strangers laugh, not just your friends. So there's all these things. But I like that it's hard because it keeps people away from it.
There was a guy that I went to school with here at San Jose State, actually. I graduated in 2015. And a couple years before that, I had like a radio class. We had like this free public access radio show, but we had a class where it teach you how to be a radio DJ. And there was a guy I had in the class, like a classmate, and at the end of every class he would be like, hey, I'm performing tonight down the street, come see me. And I was like, he's not gonna make it, like, who's this guy or whatever. And it's Trevor Wallace.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, I'm an idiot, but anyway,
there you go.
Anybody
He's doing
can do
great.
It.
Yeah, good for him.
It was great. I was talking to a friend and acquaintance, and she was like, "Yeah, I dated this guy. He's a comedian. We went to school with him." And I'm like, shoot, I thought that guy wouldn't make it. I'm glad he did, but here I was thinking he wouldn't.
Yeah, but he was obviously hustling back then.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
And that was what, 10 years ago?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah,
7 years ago.
Almost
now?
10. Yeah.
Yeah. So from then till now, he put a lot of work in, a lot of failure, a lot of bombs, a lot of videos, a lot of time, and it finally paid off.
Yeah.
So everybody wants it tomorrow.
Right.
But it takes forever.
If I were to do it, I feel like I have right now. I know you have to come up with new material all the time, but I feel like there are a couple of stories in my life that are bizarre enough where I'd want to like figure out how to tell it.
Sure.
a year ago, I lived in this house when I moved to the Bay Area from Santa Cruz. Have you been to Santa Cruz?
I believe I have driven through it. It looks really pretty.
Yeah, you got the redwoods, you got the ocean.
Yeah.
But I got this job at the hospital, so I needed to move really quick, like within a couple of days. And I rented a room in this house, just this random group of people. They rented to anybody. And there was this guy who'd just gotten out of jail. So he was cooking in the kitchen every night in his boxers and grunting and moaning, and just didn't feel very safe in this house.
Yeah, okay.
And I brought it up to, I was like, I need to get out of this lease like a month early. And I was like, I don't feel safe here. And the landlords were like, you don't get your deposit back. I'm like, figures.
Yeah.
So I moved, I left. I was like, I'm going to forfeit that last month. I don't like it here. So I moved away. And a year later, I was at my parents' house for my sister's birthday, and I'm watching the news, and they were like, house fire in Cupertino. And I was like, I have a place in Cupertino still. So I was like, hope it's not my place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm always running, so I bet I would probably recognize the house.
Yeah.
Well, they show the house, and it was the house that I had moved out of.
Whoa.
What happened was, well, during the broadcast, and they're like, and homicide investigators are on the scene. And I was like, what happened? And somebody who had moved in after I left stabbed a guy and lit the house on fire. He killed him.
Wow.
I was like, follow your gut.
Look at that.
But it's like, that's a crazy situation where I was like, it's super sad, but it's kind of wild. It doesn't happen every day.
Wow. See, that's good of you. I would have stayed there and been like, shut up. You're being racist or you're being paranoid. I would have stayed at that house. My low self-esteem would have kept me there. You have a little self-worth and you got the fuck out.
Well, what's interesting, though, is that I'm a big hat guy. I'm balding, so I'm a big hat guy.
Sure.
And I hung up hats. Like, I had, like, those little command strips all over the wall. I had, like, 20 hats. And I peeled those off, and they're like, well, you're definitely not getting your deposit back because you left all these chunks of paint ripped off. Well, now their house burned down. So
there you go.
Bigger problems elsewhere.
You won in the end. Fuck that guy.
One guy didn't, unfortunately. But
yeah, holy moly. That is wild, man.
Yeah.
And the fact you happen to see the news, like the whole thing is a crazy story.
The person who did it and the person who passed away were both people that had lived there after I left.
Oh, okay.
But still, I was like, they're renting it to sketchy people.
Yes.
And I knew it. So I was like, I'm out of here.
Wow. Good on you, man. I've lived with a lot of sketchy weirdos.
Yeah.
I moved to New York with like $400 in my pocket, got an apartment, signed the lease on loose leaf. The landlord had AIDS. And right when he left the apartment, I didn't realize it. Like, we signed it, we shook hands. I look over, there's a fucking pigeon on the mantle. And I was like, oh, guy must have like a stuffed pigeon in here. And I do something, like I close a cabinet door, and the pigeon goes crazy. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I run outside to find the guy. He's gone. I call him, he doesn't answer. So I just have to deal with this pigeon in my apartment. It's like the first or second night I lived in New York. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? This is like out of a John Hughes movie. So I eventually get the pigeon out, and the landlord eventually dies of AIDS. So the whole thing was insane. We had no heat, no hot water, which is hard because you can't complain to a guy with AIDS, you know? Because you're like, hey, the heat's not working. He's like, well, I'm dying soon, so I don't care. And you're like, all right. Sorry I called.
Yeah. Did he play for the Lakers, too?
No, he's still alive. But, yeah, it's just crazy. It was Eazy-E. No, I'm joking. But, yeah, just a tough time. But I stayed at that apartment for years, you know, because I just was like, well, who am I to move out, you know?
And then you and the pigeon became, like, friends?
No, I got rid of the pigeon. He wasn't paying rent, so I had to kick him out. But, yeah, the no heat, you know, it's fucking December in New York City, and I'm freezing my tits off, and there's no hot water. Brutal times.
Dude, New York City, like, I've been there one time. It was, like, cold. I was like, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't even the coldest time.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough city.
Yeah.
But
makes you tough. Makes you...
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also a bummer, like, you know, seeing just a hobo jerking off on the train, and then a guy passed out, then I saw a guy shooting heroin the other day in a doorway, just needle in the arm. I was like, oh, shit. So I think that kind of wears on the psyche a little bit.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I'm seeing more of that here in San Jose and San Francisco and stuff. San Francisco was the first time I saw someone, like, shooting up on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Like, this makes you feel weird.
Yes, but then you got to go, hey, at least I'm not him. You know, you're on number 24 of the Vancast. So.
That's true. Maybe I could get that guy on.
Oh, might be a little sleepy up, just a lot of nodding.
Yeah, maybe. Might not smell as good in here afterward.
Yeah, but it would be cool to hear his, like, how did he get there?
Yeah.
What's heroin feel like?
Yeah.
Where are you sleeping? That's fun.
Does anybody have like a hobo cast out?
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Whoa.
That's a great
Going to
idea.
business, Mark.
I like it. And they could let him sleep here. That's the payment. Hey, you can sleep in the van for a night if you do the pod.
That's a great idea.
Although you'd have to really disinfect this motherfucker after. But yeah.
Rubber sheets, we're good.
Yeah, I had plastic sheets as a child.
Yeah,
Bedwetter.
might be similar issues there.
Yeah.
But speaking of podcasts, I was going to tell you, I'm sure you get this all the time. One of the most enjoyable parts about driving long is when one of my favorite podcast episodes gets released.
Oh, I love that.
Protect Our Parks.
Hey, really?
It's my favorite thing. Me and my friend Connor, we're always like, did you listen yet? It came out.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we do them, I don't know, once every 3 months or so, but...
Yeah. How'd that come about? Because you're, 5 now?
I don't know how it started. I think it was Ari's idea. Ari's like, hey, we're all coming down for something or other. I think it was Skankfest. And he was like, what if we all did the pod? Because him and Joe are pretty tight. And Joe was like, all right. And Gillis had just been on once. I'd been on a few times. So he knew us, and he was like, fuck it. And we ended up getting trashed, and Shane's doing Trump. We're drinking booze. They're smoking weed. And we just had a blast. And I think we needed it because Rogan has a lot of these scientists on and philosophers and all these kind of intellectual heady guys and politicians. So we come in there, I'm farting into the mic, we're burping, we're saying crazy shit, we're talking about Mike Tyson or serial killers and just yucking it up. And it was a hit. And then he was like, that was so fun, let's do it again. And we're like, oh, all right. We did it again like 2 months later. And there was one of them. We've done 5, I think, or 4?
5.
5.
No.
Okay. We've done 5, and the second, not this one, but the one before it was just a banger. I mean, it was
Ari
like
passed out.
Yeah, when Ari passed out, and we're like, we can't top this. And then, of course, last time we were all funneling beers, and some people puked that was cut out.
Oh, really?
But I'll tell you about it off mic. But it was pretty awesome, and it's just fun silliness. We're so fucking jacked up on CNN and Fox and politics and tribal and division. So like, just fun seeing somebody fart and make a joke about fat people.
Yeah, I'm sure Rogan likes going from like something serious to going like, let's just be crazy.
Yeah, because I grew up listening to Opie and Anthony and Howard Stern and all these wacky nut jobs. These guys got prostitutes on, they got midgets on, and they're all doing cartwheels, and it's fun, and we got away from that somehow. So I think people are really, when we put these out, people go nuts for them.
Oh, it's the best. Actually, the last one that came out, it was my friend Connor's birthday at the beginning of this month. And so the episode came out, and I was like, I'm not going to listen to it until I drive down because I want something to listen to on the way down. But I listened to part of it, or I saw doing the Eagle beer funnel.
Yeah.
So I found it on Amazon, and I shipped it to my friend in LA. So we got one.
I love it.
Did you see?
Those must have skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Did you see the Photoshop Rogan reshared of everybody doing the funnel and then the eagle in the middle? I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
I made that.
Oh, wow. Hey, well done. That was a good one.
So I in a different version, I put my friend in the middle of it with him on the rock spot. He's a big Dwayne Johnson fan.
Yeah.
And printed it out on a huge poster and gave that to him for his birthday with the Eagle beer funnel. That was a good weekend.
That's great.
Inspired by you guys.
Oh, thanks. Well, we're just trying to have a good time and be retarded and silly. 3 R words to bleep.
That's it? We can hit 5.
All right, we'll hit 5. But they got to be natural. I don't want to force an R word.
What's the R word?
Nice try, Fatty.
It's have you heard that thing where it's like, I bet you I can get you to say the color red. You can't say red. Okay. Try to get you to say it.
All right.
What's the color of grass?
Green.
Okay. The color of the sky?
Blue or gray.
What is the color of this blanket?
Well, it's black and some other color.
Okay. And then what's the color of the cabinets?
Big honky.
I messed it up, but usually you'd say like white, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, you said it. You're like, no, you said don't say red.
Oh, that's the move.
Yeah, but I messed it up by going to red.
Okay. Well, that's funny because that's kind of how comedy works. You got to trick them and a misdirect and make their brain think they're going that way and you go the other way. But that's basically a move you just did or you tried to do.
Mess it up. That's why I'm sticking to my day job for now.
Hey, there you go.
You know what's funny actually about the Vancast is that I've heard it a couple times. You know, I think Rogan's going to do a van podcast. He's mentioned it a couple times where he's like, yeah, me and Jamie have talked about it like a dozen times. Like, get a decked out Sprinter. And I'm like, well, there goes my chances of doing a Vancast.
I think you're fine. He's not doing that. He's got enough shit going on. He's not going to make a van with microphones in it like this.
He could pay someone to do it in like a day.
That's true. He could. And he's got a giant warehouse with all these Ferraris and Corvettes and boxing rings and weights and a sauna and an ice bath.
At the studio?
Yeah. So he could throw a Sprinter right in there.
I bet it's a dope studio.
Oh, dude. It's like, there's an archery section. It's insane.
That's crazy.
There's 8 Navy SEALs walking around patrolling it. There's a bunch of there's like a big dog. There's all this old memorabilia. Pool table. It's really sick.
Pretty wild. Where do you record your episodes of?
We got 2 studios in the city. We got one in Midtown. We do Tuesdays. It's probably smaller than this. It's a fucking shitbox cave. Like it's a closet in the middle of this skyrise on 43rd Street. And it's like right off Central Park, right in Midtown. I don't know how we found this place. It was cheap as balls because of the pandemic. But we work around all these real businessmen, lawyers, and real estate guys, and all these people in suits, and we come in there in shorts and a t-shirt, and we're like, jizz, queef, yelling all this shit. It's coming through the walls. They all hate us. We're in the break room awkwardly after doing all that shit.
Can they hear you?
Oh, they can hear everything, and they always give us like a weird look. Plus, we're so underdressed compared to them, and it's awkward. So we record and we get the fuck out.
That's great.
Yeah. It's fun, but then the other one is in Chelsea, me and Sam, and we actually use a podcast studio, and the guy built our whole bar room look, and we have a bartender come in, and a lot of liquor and couches and tables and all that, so it's pretty good.
Sam's new special.
Killer.
Insane.
Check it out on Netflix, folks. Same time tomorrow.
It's so good.
So good. And, I mean, talk about pumping out material.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a more prolific comic working? Maybe Segura, maybe Sebastian, and Sam. Sam should be up there in this upper crust of comedians. But for some reason, guys in our class have a hard time getting up there, But he's done it, I think.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think we're just a little younger than a lot of these guys. Like Sebastian or Mulaney, they kind of broke in earlier. And we've been trying to break in for so long. Like me and Sam both had an hour special on Comedy Central. Comedy Central's not exactly, a needle mover. We couldn't get a Netflix for a while. Then we put our shit on YouTube. That helped start up us. So we kind of had to do it ourselves, and now it's finally paying off.
The Standups was also very good.
Oh, thanks.
Gotta give a shout out to Dusty Slay, who helped us connect as well.
Yeah, I love Dusty.
Yeah.
Good egg.
Where did you guys film the intro for that? Because was it the same venue as where you did the show?
It was, yeah. It's all on the cheap. They we did the whole thing at a hotel, and the hotel had a ballroom. That's where the show was. Okay. And I was in Midtown. It was super cool. Yeah. They let me do the material I wanted. I went hard. I went Holocaust. I went trans.
I was surprised they let you, actually.
I was, too. And I ran it all by them. And they were like, that's what's cool about Netflix. Say what you will. I mean, look, they stuck with Chappelle. Yeah. But they were like, oh, well, this is a joke. I see, like, if I was up there just going, trans people should die, that's not really a punchline. But they were like, this is a bit. That's a turn. I see where you went there. So they approved everything.
That's great, then.
Yeah, I was lucky.
Well, check out Mark Norman on Netflix, too. Stand-Up Season 3.
Hey. You got that right.
For a quick game.
Sure.
Burning questions.
What do you want to play? Norman. Ookie Cookie?
We'll play footsies down here, actually.
Oh, all right.
Look at that. First card I picked was, have you ever peed yourself?
Well, that's already answered. Twice yesterday.
Mark Norman.
Yeah, lay it on me, fatty. I'm ready.
What makes you feel accomplished?
Ooh, well, I think finishing something you set out to finish. I think accomplishment is actually a underrated thing because we're all like, how am I going to be happy? What makes you happy? Am I happy? It's like, maybe not, because you're sitting there hoping to be happy. You got to do something, set a goal, accomplish it, finish something, be satisfied with something you've done, then you'll be happy. People think it's this magical pill. Like, I mean, there is Molly, but you know, if you just want to be happy, you got to do something and make it happen. It's not just going to happen to you. Sorry, was that too short?
No, that's fantastic. That's your answer. Want
All right.
More?
Sure.
Do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
Huge introvert.
Okay.
I'd say I'm 100% intro.
Interesting. As somebody who talks in front of people, even.
Well, you got to think. Talking in front of people. Last night, there's 400 people at the Improv. I'm the only one who gets to talk. If they interrupt, they get thrown out. I tell you my ideas. Hopefully I can make you laugh, and then I get off stage. But the part where I meet and greet and sell shirts and take photos, that is a nightmare. That part sucks because I don't know what people are going to say. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know what's going to happen or if I'm being stupid. The stand-up is actually curated, and I got to say what I want and pick everything I'm going to say and work on it and trial and error it. The meeting people, it could go either way, you know? So that part's horrifying.
To that point about people yelling things out, you do have a place where people yell things out.
Yeah.
You're like insane comedy joke jukebox. It's so impressive to watch you do crowd work. It's insane.
Thanks. Well, I feel like, I do it for the clips. You know, some guy will go, hey, the Queen, and I'll do a Queen riff.
Still got to be good at it.
Still got to be good at it. But I sit, you know, on the plane when I'm flying somewhere, I check Twitter, I check the news, what's happening. So then I go, okay, Adam Levine's DMing chicks. What's funny about that? And I try to have something ready. And when you do crowd work, people give you a little more leniency. They get a little more grace. Like if I was up there going, Adam Levine, huh? People are like, eh. But if they think I thought of it right off the cuff, they give me a little more love.
Got it.
So also I do this 45, 50 minutes of just bam, 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 bam. It takes a lot of work to listen, to react, listen, react. So I feel like being a little more interactive at the end is a nice treat for the audience. Like, hey, you guys were so good. Now let's be silly.
It's very impressive.
Thanks.
It's crazy. I was the one who, I don't know if you remember, I yelled out Ellen in the first show.
Was that you?
That was me.
Oh, dude, I would think we got a clip off that. You are what you eat.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
Yeah, so that's going to go online, so thank you.
All right, look at that.
Why Ellen?
It just hit me. I was like, she's gay, she's controversial.
Yeah.
Mark's got something to say about her.
You nailed it, man, because other people are just like, Bert Kreischer. I'm like, come on, man. I can't do anything with that. He's fat, he's a drunk. Give me some meat.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'll be looking out for that.
Killed it.
Do you have anything to promote? Coming up, dates, all the things?
I'm all over the road, which is my podcast. Get on it. I'm Tuesdays with Stories. We might be drunk. MarkNormanComedy.com for dates and clips and shirts. Get a comedy shirt. Check out my special online called Out to Lunch. And I'm also on the Standups on Netflix. Give that a goog or a search. And praise Allah.
Feel like I'm at the tippy